Right, so today, what we're going to be talking about, and excuse my hair, I just got out of the shower, I'm going to talk about 5 things Marvel's Avengers must do. So essentially what I mean by what it must do is we've seen a lot of stuff on this game. It's coming out in pretty much a month and a bit, and there's some things that I want to talk about, and I want to put up in a list format as I usually do, and just talk about 5 things that this game kind of has to do to please me, because as everyone knows, my opinion means much more than anyone else. No, that is a joke. This is 5 things that the game must do to please the audience that it's going for, because it's going for both fans of Marvel Comics, fans of Marvel films, and fans of video games of this ilk, the kind of like live service looter shooter, even though there's going to be no shooting in this game unless if the Punisher is somehow involved, which I doubt. But yeah, the first thing that I have to say, number 5 if you will, is the game's going to include uniforms, so the uniforms have to actually be worth getting. What I mean by uniforms have to be worth getting is if there's if you have to do like a special mission to get World War Hulk, to get the World War Hulk uniform, or if you have to do a special mission to get the Hydra Cap uniform, or to get like a War Machine uniform for Iron Man, even though I personally think that War Machine should be a different character and should be brought in like an update, or should be in the base game, in the story, because War Machine was in a Lego set. War Machine was in a Lego set to do with the game. The game had several Lego sets, like, based around the game, and like Hawkeye was in one, Black Panther was in one, Captain Marvel and War Machine were in one. And I think that's definitely leading to those characters are going to appear in this game. So what I mean by uniforms, like, if you have the World War Hulk skin on Hulk, you should be playing as World War Hulk, not Hulk. You should be able to use the sword. You should be able to use the shield. It should be basically an all-new character. I know how difficult that is to do, but they did it with like 30 suits with Spider-Man. But also they should probably go down the route of having like upgrades, where you upgrade Hulk and then you can upgrade like the World War Hulk uniform, and you can get new skills for that are different than the base Hulk. Like that's just my kind of what I'd like to see from that. I'd like to see uniforms actually be different, be essentially new characters. And yeah, I just want to see uniforms be like, you know, have some reason for us to go out of our way to get uniforms, and have like the better uniforms be like, don't put anything behind a paywall, but have the better uniforms be like, you have to invest more effort into getting them. Like, it's a harder like raid boss to get like Joe Fixit, or you have to fight Abomination. Like, there's an Abomination like raid boss, because Abomination's in the game, but there's going to be like like if there's a raid boss system and there's an Abomination raid boss and you have to fight him like 10 times and then you get the Abomination skin. Like, maybe that should be a thing. I don't know. The next thing I have to talk about is don't go too close to the movies. What I mean by this, essentially, is that the story and the designs of these characters shouldn't be too close to the movies. And also, I'd like to see some characters in the game that aren't exactly movie characters. And for the most part, that looks like what we're getting, because Miss Marvel's in the game. I don't mind the inclusion of Miss Marvel. She looks very fun to play. I've said this several times before. It's a game. The point of a game is to be fun, first and foremost. And she looks fun to play. I don't really care about the whole, like, political side of putting her in the game. And the whole, oh, she's not an Avenger, so why is she in the Avengers game? Why is she your focus? Fuck off. She looks fun. She looks fun. I don't care much for the character inside the comics, but in a video game setting, she looks like she could be a lot of fun. And also we have the design of Nick Fury, which I don't like, but it's, again, not like the films. And we have the designs for all the characters. The most close to the film version is probably Hulk, but then what else can you do with Hulk? He's just a big green rage monster, and you can't really do much to separate the designs of Hulk, really, unless if you put a uniform on them. And the only thing that I think they should do that's close to the films is use movie suits, like movie uniforms. Like they have a uniform for Endgame Cap that has the hammer. Although I don't really think they should do that, because that means they'd make Cap more like Thor, and you already have Thor, so Cap would basically just be Thor. You're just giving Cap Thor's moves, unless if you give Cap different moves to what you give Thor. But yeah, that's just my thing. I don't think they should have Thanos in the game. I don't think they should put Loki in the game. And if they do, make them very different to how they appear in the films. Like, have Loki be full-on evil. Like, have Thanos be, like, more akin to the comic book version if you're going to put him in the game. But I think they should save Thanos for a sequel. Don't just think, oh, what worked in the films, that's going to work here. Because you want to be something different. You want to make your own identity for yourself, not just be like, right, we're going to do exactly what's popular in the films. Like what Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 did, and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 was shit. So, don't do that, please. The next thing that I want to say, number 3, if you will, is it needs to have meaningful updates. This is a live service game. It's got to have updates that bring the player base back, and that keeps the player base playing the game long after they've beaten the story, long after the game's actually come out. You want some longevity there, and so far all we've seen is we're going to get new characters. New characters to do the same old stuff isn't very fun or very good or very like interesting. We need like a raid boss system. We need other things that are going to keep people hooked. We need like constant updates to what the multiplayer is going to do. Constant updates to PvE content. A type of PvP content would also be quite fun. So like, say if you could like fight another player's team, or like you could do single matches, I don't know how it would work with the way the game is, but you could have like your Thor versus someone else's Thor, and the whole point of the game being about individuality, and the game being about your Thor will not, your character, so your like Iron Man would be completely different to someone else's Iron Man. That like leads directly into some really cool PvP content. Not something that I'm like too fond of, because I don't really like. I'm not really a big like online player. I'm more into like the story and like what they do with that and how they expand that throughout the course of the game. Like, I don't want to just be like, right, you beat MODOK, the end. I want to be like, if they bring in new characters, I want there to be some kind of like story mission to tie in with them, or like a way to get them that's not just like, oh, purchase them at the shop, or you now have, or like, it's the middle of the month, you can now play as Iron Fist or whatever. Like, I don't want that. I want some kind of like fun, interesting way of getting the new characters that is like, you know, keeps my interest. I want things that will keep my interest. The fourth thing that I want in the game is more than just what we've seen from snippets and trailers in the base game. So I want to see, like, in the base keep players playing after they've beaten the story. So like, tying into what I said last time, but it needs to be in the game from launch. There needs to be different characters from the ones we've seen. Like I said, the whole Lego set thing. Like, they had minifigures in those sets for Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and etc. etc. And they haven't been seen in any of the game like footage. They may have just been like, oh, we just put them in because we had the minifigures made. But I think that they're going to be in the game, and I would love to see like some other characters pop up in the story that haven't been seen elsewhere. Like, there's a big Inhuman like push. I'd love to see like Black Bolt, Medusa, characters like that appear, or maybe like some Inhumans that have actually been on the Avengers. Like, maybe, I don't know, Synapse? Who remembers Synapse from Uncanny Avengers? Like, she could be really cool to have on the team. Maybe some like lesser known Inhumans as well. Like, that would be cool if they could have the Inhumans in the game and actually use the Inhumans and have the Inhumans be playable. Also, if you're doing live updates, you've got to put the Fantastic Four and the X-Men in this game. You just have to. Like, if the X-Men appear in Marvel's Avengers, the game, before they appear in the MCU, I think that would be like a really interesting piece of history. Like, they appeared in this game before they appeared in the movies. Like, you had Captain America and Wolverine fighting alongside each other in a game before you had them fighting alongside each other on the big screen. I think that would be really cool to see, and it would just be a really interesting thing to like have happen. I don't know, but like, yeah, that would just be really cool. The final thing, and I think this is the thing that everyone's calling out for and that everyone wants, is it needs to tie back into Insomniac Spider-Man. And it needs to like be a part of a shared universe. A lot of people don't like shared universes, is something that I've like noticed from being on Twitter for a degree of time. Like, apparently the whole idea of like a shared universe, and apparently the whole idea of like the MCU like is like disgusting to some people. which I don't understand, because like you're going to create a piece of media based off of a comic book, based off of a comic book that is a shared universe. Like, you're directly creating an adaptation of something that's a shared universe anyway. Why shouldn't the adaptation be a part of a shared universe? I don't understand the whole like anti-cinematic universe kind of like thought. I don't understand why people have that mindset and why people don't want to see this tie in with anything else. I know people are like, well, if it's bad, then they don't want it tying in with the good thing. They don't want a bad thing to be like to be in the middle of this thing that they love. And I understand that mentality, but also everything you've seen of this game, do you really think it's going to be bad? Like, I know that's a really naive like standing to take. Like, you've seen like a few trailers and you think this game is going to be amazing, but I genuinely think from everything that I've seen of the game, my personal opinion is going to be this game will probably be really good. I may eat those words in like months to come, but I think this game has a lot of potential to be really good, and I think that it really does have to tie back in with Insomniac Spider-Man, and it has to branch out into its own shared universe, mostly because it's going to include characters that can have their own games spin out of this. Even with the updates, if they have like story updates to coincide with the characters that come into the game, like they could very easily be like, this will continue in this will continue in the Daredevil game, or this will continue in the Guardians of the Galaxy game, because we already know that there's a Guardians of the Galaxy game in development, and hopefully they have the same kind of formula as this, but different gameplay. But yeah, that's kind of my take on this. My whole the most important thing for me is that it is a part of a shared universe, because the potential of a video game shared universe is so much wider than a movie shared universe, because you can do so much more in a game. You have a longer runtime. You can put in more characters. You can put in characters that no one knows about, and no one's going to care, because you get to play as Iron Man, you get to play as Captain America, you get to play as Hulk, you get to play as Thor, and no one's going to care that you have to fight, say, in El Diablo, just some character that the first thing that popped into my head, because you're playing as like the Fantastic Four, and it's not based off of a movie, and it's been made by people who care about the source material. And that's the thing that I strongly believe in. I feel like the people making these games have to care about the characters that they are assigned, or the characters that they're making a game for, which I feel like is something that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is kind of forgetting. The people that they're putting on the movies don't care about the characters. They don't care about the universe that they're taking from. They're still making good movies, for the most part, but I don't feel like they necessarily are putting on talent that is like passionate about. I don't believe that the directors behind Spider-Man: Homecoming and Far From Home are passionate about Spider-Man. I don't believe that the directors behind Captain Marvel are passionate about Captain Marvel. I don't feel like the people behind Ant-Man and the Wasp are passionate about Ant-Man. I think if they were passionate about Ant-Man, they would have, went with Hank Pym as the main Ant-Man and not Scott Lang. But that's just me. But yeah, I really, and I don't think that the director of Eternals is going to be passionate about Eternals. I just don't. But because who's passionate about Eternals? Like who cares about this D-list team? Like that may be a great thing for like a movie, because you can take something that hasn't been pre-established and that not a lot of people know about, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, and you can make a movie with its own tone and with its own like flair that's completely different from anything else that we've seen in the cinematic universe before, and it's with characters that we don't have a preconception of, and it can be exactly what the director's vision is. But I feel like in the more recent movies, there's not been a director's vision. There's been what is going to be, it's like, what can we do here that will lead into what we do next? Like, it's not exactly like, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Like I said, like I keep saying, Spider-Man Far From Home is, without a shadow of a doubt, the best Spider-Man like movie out there. For me personally, a lot of people may say Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I think that movie is okay. I don't think it's great. I think it's a visual spectacle, but also a visual spectacle is not a great story as well. But Spider-Man Far From Home is, I think, the perfect thing that encapsulates all of the problems of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the modern age. Like 10 years after, or 11 years after it, 12 years after its conception, and that is that it's become less about making superhero movies, and it's been more about making the universe feel like a universe. It's become more about the world than the characters that are on it, and I feel like that is both a good and bad thing, and that may just be because of the fact that some of the more compelling characters have been pushed to the sidelines, or like the most compelling character is now not going to be in the movies anymore because he's gone. But yeah, I don't think that I don't think any of the Marvel movies coming out are going to be as good as something like Thor Ragnarok, because I fully believe that Taika Waititi is passionate about Thor, and at least he's passionate about making good films. Like James Gunn, say what you will about him, he's passionate about making entertaining films. Like, say what you will about Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I think it's just okay. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's one of the best MCU movies. I certainly don't think it's better than the first one, but I had a fun time with it. And that's like the most important thing about an MCU movie now. As long as it has a good fight scene and I had fun with it, I'll walk away happy. And that's my biggest problem with something like Captain Marvel. I didn't have fun watching it. I felt like I was watching a moody teenager and some fun side characters, but that's all they were, side characters. And that's the thing that I think in a game, I feel like you have to care about the characters that you're making a game for. which is why I'm not going to go out here and say that Nova should have a game or Moon Knight should have a game. I don't think they can carry a game, and I also don't think that anyone is passionate enough in the games industry like to make a Moon Knight game. I feel like Daredevil can work. I feel like Spider-Man is amazing because, you know, everyone likes Spider-Man. Like, the thing with Spider-Man is Spider-Man sells because you can go up to anyone, anywhere, and ask, name a superhero, and they will name one of three. They will name Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. Spider-Man is still, like, inside and outside of the MCU, the most popular superhero. That's why it was the smartest choice to lead out with him. And, like, the Avengers, they're a big global, like, billion-dollar market. They will sell a game. And it doesn't matter what that game is, they will sell it because they're the Avengers. The Guardians of the Galaxy, they're now really popular, and they're popular because of the movies. And if you make something that is like the movies, but a game, it will sell. Maybe not, but you know what I mean. Like, the Guardians of the Galaxy are kind of a safe bet now because of the films. Because the films were so accessible. Like, I don't want to say they were so good, but they're so accessible. Like, if you're just a fan of, like, movies in general, not just, like, superheroes, you're going to probably enjoy those films. But yeah, that's just 5 things that I want to see in the Avengers. I know it tailed off at the end and became more of a, like, deep introspective on what the MCU has become, but I feel like you have to distinguish the two. You have to make sure that the Avengers game and any other superhero game, like Marvel game, coming out, like, doesn't get caught up in the trying to be too much like the movies thing that even the comics have become now. Or the comics were becoming since the MCU started. Since even before the MCU started. Like, after Spider-Man, like, this first Sam Raimi Spider-Man, like, they immediately went to Spider-Man's got organic webbing now. Like, the comics have influenced the film. The films have influenced the comics for as long as there have been superhero films that have made money. Like, I don't get why that's a new topic of conversation. It's not. But yeah, if you like this video, leave it a like. If you aren't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. We are quite quickly getting to 1,500. So let's change that 1k to a 1.5k very quickly, because I want it now. Please give it to me. And I will see you guys in the next video. Also, check out my Twitch. I don't say this enough, but check out my Twitch. I've been streaming on Twitch every weekday, and I get barely any people coming in because, you know, I don't think I promote it enough, even though I post links everywhere, and I have a Discord. Also, follow me on Twitter, and you can have a link to my Discord. Yeah, see you guys next video. Peace.